What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, September 1st, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news that apparently Russia has put their new nuclear missile on high alert and on combat duty. This is coming from the general director of Roscosmos, Yuri Borisov, and he said that the Sarmat strategic complex has been put on combat duty. Okay, that is what the general director of Roscosmos said. So that is huge news, guys. Okay, the RS-24 Sarmat was made to replace the R-36M, which was Russia's primary super heavy ballistic missile to carry nuclear warheads, and it was made at the end of the Cold War. And so they are replacing the R-36M, which is also known as the SS-18 Satan 1, with the RS-28 Sarmat, aka Satan 2. Okay, so the Sarmat is very similar to the R-36M. It's an ultra heavy liquid fueled ICBM that can carry a large number of warheads that are also very heavy warheads. They have a lot of blast yield. Okay, and from what we understand about this Sarmat, it can carry 10 multiple independent reentry vehicles, each one having an unknown blast yield, probably half a megaton or a megaton each. The R-36M is the heaviest ICBM ever made, okay? And the RS-28 Sarmat is almost as heavy as the SS-18 Satan. Okay, so this is huge news. I don't know if this is just part of their normal modernization, or if there's something else going on, if tensions aren't escalating and Russia's putting these on combat duty because they're getting ready to go to a nuclear war with us. I don't know, guys. Now, Russia has been undergoing a nuclear modernization program for the last 10 or 20 years. They're changing out their old missiles from the Cold War with new missiles and new submarines and things like that. So either this is just part of the normal modernization process or something else is going on. And now I think I understand why the US has been deploying so many doomsday planes and nuclear warplanes the last month or so. Okay, because things are escalating. Something is about to happen or might happen, and they're getting ready. And Russia's putting their RS-28s on combat duty. And the U.S. moved that B-2 stealth bomber to Norway and did a ground refuel exercise yesterday. And just a few weeks back, they moved 3 B-2s to Iceland. And they're going to be moving up to 50 or more F-35s to the UK. They moved a combat scent plane to the UK. And now news of this comes out. So now it's all coming together, guys. Now it all makes sense. And there's also some breaking news that Ukraine could receive depleted uranium from the US as soon as next week. Okay, that was reported by Reuters. So the US is going to give Ukraine depleted uranium shells for their tanks and for their artillery too, I'm assuming, or maybe just their tanks, I don't know, but they're going to get depleted uranium shells. And Russia warned about that. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Maybe this is why they're putting their missiles on combat duty. Okay. Belarus is claiming that a Polish military helicopter violated their airspace in sort of like a tit for tat, because if you remember a few weeks back, Belarus violated Polish airspace and they flew I think it was two helicopters very low into Poland a couple of miles and then turned around and came back. Well, now apparently Poland did the same thing to Belarus, and Belarus is saying that a Mi-24 helicopter crossed their border at extremely low altitude and flew about 1,200 meters over the territory of Belarus and then flew back. Okay. Now, what's really weird is right now there's not any doomsday plane or nuclear warplane in the air at all area. And I do have a contact in Nebraska who lives next to Offutt Air Base, and this person is telling me that today it was super quiet. There weren't hardly any doomsday planes or nuclear warplanes, which is very, very unusual after all this activity for the past month. And then today, Russia announcing they're putting their RS-28s on combat alert or combat duty. These RS-28s weren't supposed to be ready for a few more months. They just recently tested one of them. They're not 100% ready. So what this tells me is that Russia is rushing to deploy them, even if they're not fully ready to deploy. Now, what's concerning about these RS-28 Sarmats is not so much how big they are and their payload, how many warheads they can carry, but that they're liquid fueled. And why is it concerning that they're liquid fueled? Because any nuclear weapon that is liquid fueled is designed for a first strike. Okay. And the reason why is that if you have a liquid fueled missile, you're not going to have enough time to refuel your missile by the time your enemy launches at you, okay? Because it takes up to 2 hours to fuel a liquid fueled missile. So these are not defensive missiles, guys. They're not going to be using these defensively. These are offensive missiles made for a first strike. They're very heavy, they can carry a lot of warheads, and they're liquid fueled. Okay, so that just tells you that they're made for a first strike. And here in the US, all of our missiles are solid fueled. And the reason why is our doctrine is more defensive. We could use our missiles for a first strike, of course, but having them solid fueled enables us to immediately launch a retaliatory strike before our missiles get hit by theirs. Okay, if you have liquid fueled missiles, your missiles are going to get destroyed by the time you get to launch them, because your enemy is going to target your missiles. They know where your missiles are at because these are silo-based missiles. So we know where all of Russia's liquid-fueled missiles are, the RS-28 Sarmats, and they're going to be the first ones to be targeted. Okay, so that means that Russia has to launch them before we destroy them. Okay, and if they're liquid-fueled, by the time they fuel them up, we would destroy them in a counterattack, okay? Because our counterattack would be immediate, so they wouldn't have enough time to fuel them up. So that means they're made for a first strike, okay? So this is very concerning news, okay? Let me just share some information with you guys about this Polish military helicopter. This is coming from RIA Novosti, which is a Russian state media. The headline here: Polish military helicopter violated the border with Belarus. A Polish military helicopter invaded the airspace of Belarus, the State Border Committee of the Republic reported, and they also posted it on Telegram. It is specified that the Mi-24 helicopter crossed the border at extremely low altitude, flew about 1,200 meters over the territory of Belarus, and then flew back. The State Border Committee informed the Polish side about the incident. On the afternoon of September the 1st, Belarusian border guards recorded a violation of the airspace of Belarus by Poland in the Berestovitsky district of the Grodno region. That's northwestern Belarus, close to the Suwalki Gap. Okay, that's Grodno. It used to be a Polish city, and Poland lost it after the Second World War, when the West and Russia carved up Europe after they eliminated Hitler, and Stalin wanted the eastern parts of Poland as a buffer. So the West told Poland that they had to give their eastern sections to Stalin. And so that's why a lot of Western cities in Belarus are actually Polish cities. And so that's a big source of tension between Belarus and Poland right now. Warsaw was required to clarify the situation and conduct an investigation. Belarusian diplomats also pointed out the inadmissibility of border violations. The Polish representatives were urged to take measures to prevent similar incidents in the future. This is crazy news, guys, but, Belarus did it first, so whatever, it is what it is. So let me just share this video that the Belarusian border guard shared on Telegram. Okay, so apparently this is the Polish Mi-24 helicopter flying into Belarus, just over a kilometer into Belarus, and then it turned around and came back. So I don't know if this is true. This could be BS. This could be made up story. There's currently 2,000 forces training in Belarus on the border of Poland. These are various allies of Belarus and Russia. They call them the CSTO. It's like a Russian NATO, and they're currently doing drills right on the border of Poland. Okay. So huge news, guys. Check out my nuclear war survival videos. I'll leave a link to them in the top right corner. Check out my How to Survive Nuclear War series. You need to have a fallout shelter in case things escalate, okay? For most people, the basement of your house is going to be a decent fallout shelter, provided that you don't have any large windows or walkout doors. And in that case, you have to backfill those walkout doors and windows with some earth, okay? And then you'll have a really good fallout shelter in your basement, as long as you're not in the blast radius, because if you're in the blast radius, then, it doesn't matter if you have a good fallout shelter, your whole house is going to get annihilated by the overpressure if you're very close to the blast. But that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I'll keep you updated. I'm going to monitor the situation. If anything else breaks, I'll definitely update you. But that's the latest for now. We'll see what happens. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.